You want to hear some hard truth? The price of peace is sometimes temporary sadness. Every heartbreak that you experience is an opportunity for growth. And I've only experienced real heartbreak once in my life, but it taught me so many valuable things about myself. I recently watched a video from the channel Atmosphere of Grace that really helps explain this and put things into perspective. Basically, I want you to think of your life as a garden, and you have different seeds for different areas of your life. Sometimes storms will come, and this might scare you, it might overwhelm you, but it's important to remember that storms bring rain, and rain is needed for growth. And after the storm clears, your plants are going to be so much more vibrant and strong and beautiful. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's all part of the process. Or in other words, shit happens. And you're going to grow from it, you're going to recover, and you're going to be even stronger than you were before. Welcome to part 2 of my mini-series, The Unspoken Grief of Necessary Goodbyes. In this video, I want to talk about this process and coming to terms with having to say goodbye to someone that you didn't really want to. In part 1, I used Ariana Grande's song, Don't Want to Break Up Again, to talk about the initial realization and grief that comes with a relationship just not working out. Because let's face it, y'all, breakups can really suck, and that's definitely not news to you. If you clicked on this video, you probably weren't like, breakups can suck? I had no idea. I didn't create the series to shit talk an ex or obsess over them or just talk bad about them. I created this series because I don't think that we talk enough about the complex emotions that come with the grief of saying goodbye to someone, because it's like you're grieving someone that's still alive. Like, grieving a death is different than grieving a person that you just have to let go of, and that's why I created this series. I also created this series because I want to talk about the waiting period, which is the aftermath of a breakup, where you're just waiting for the healing to start. If you haven't watched the first part yet, I recommend that you do, because now we're moving on to phase 2, using Ariana Grande's song, We Can't Be Friends, to talk about the understanding and self-discovery found in letting go. We Can't Be Friends is one of my favorite songs on her album, and I know that some people are like, oh, it's about her relationship with the media, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to say that it's about the understanding and self-discovery found in letting go of a relationship. Now, I believe that there are 3 stages to a breakup. Break up, then you break down, then you break through. And I feel like We Can't Be Friends is a really good representation of this. At first, the song is about feeling misunderstood by a partner. She says, I didn't think you'd understand me. How could you ever even try? You're grieving this person now that they're gone, and you're sort of just reflecting on how this person made you feel misunderstood, frustrated, and lonely in the relationship. But this feeling can also force you to just reflect inward and figure out what you're willing to tolerate in your relationships moving forward. It can help you to see your value and understand that your peace and happiness shouldn't depend on whether or not someone is able to see your worth or understand you. Once you're able to find strength in solitude, it can really help you understand who you are and what you deserve. When Ariana says, we can't be friends, but I'd like to just pretend and wait until you like me again, I'll wait for your love. I saw the chorus as longing for what was, but also accepting what is. Even though you know you made the right choice in saying goodbye to this person, you still kind of long for the feeling of being liked and valued again. The song holds on to hope for reconnection with this person, even when you understand that some goodbyes are final and necessary for personal growth. Have you ever tried being friends with an ex? I tried it once and it didn't really go well, but I feel like that's what Ariana is explaining in her lyrics. She knows that they can't be friends, but she's still holding on and waiting for them to come back, and I really resonated heavily with those lyrics. Moving on to the bridge, when she says, I don't like how you paint me, but I'm still here hanging, I felt like it was so relatable. Have you ever felt like a person's perception of you makes you feel misunderstood? But you're emotionally invested, so you stay because you're attached and you hope that things can change. This is what can keep so many of us from leaving relationships even when we feel hurt and undervalued. And it reminds me of the law of correspondence. It means that everyone is you pushed out, or our reality is a mirror that reflects back to us. So everyone you meet is sort of like a messenger that can help you figure out what patterns are happening within you that makes you perceive things in a certain way. Let me give you a personal example of what I mean by this, because I probably just sounded like Donnie from the Thornberrys just now. When negative stuff used to happen in my life, I used to get in the habit of asking, why is this happening to me? But after learning the law of correspondence, I started asking, what is this teaching me? And if it was a pattern that kept recurring that was negative, I would ask, what is this pattern saying about me? Changing my mindset made me realize that I had a habit of attracting men that wouldn't want to commit to me because deep down I had a limiting belief that I was not worth committing to. So I would attract these men that would basically be mirrors that would reaffirm this limiting belief saying, hey, I'm not going to commit to you because you don't think you're worth committing to. I think knowing the law of correspondence makes the bridge so much more impactful because you start asking yourself questions like, why am I tolerating certain behavior and what does this say about me? Do I even like myself? Would I even date myself? And once you start reflecting, it makes things 10 times easier to use discernment in relationships and make healthier relationship choices. What is your pain teaching you? And don't say something silly like,
it's teaching me to never ever date a guy whose name starts with J ever again.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
Be so serious right now. Ask yourself what you can learn from the pain because everything is working out for your greater good. The last lyric from the song I want to talk about is when Ariana says, so for now it's only me and maybe that's all I need. This line was beautiful to me because it's the acceptance phase. It's seeing the value in solitude and self-reflection. You're recognizing that you might not need that validation or love from that person that you once thought. You realize how important self-love is and that being alone can make you feel more seen than being in a relationship where you feel misunderstood. Of course, there are going to be some days where you still feel like waiting for this person's love to return back to you, but you're finally starting to be okay without it. It's not something that you need anymore, and that's progress. This is only the beginning of your self-love journey. I'm going to wrap up part 2 here, but first, let's debrief. This mini-series is meant to be content that heals. Understand that a breakup has layers just like ogres.
Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers? You get it. We both have layers.
Oh, you both have layers. Oh.
My goal is to not only help you move on from a relationship, but get to know and appreciate yourself more. This can be hard and even painful sometimes, but it is worth it. If you've ever felt misunderstood or undervalued by someone, try not to tie your worth to their perception of you. Embrace this period of being alone. Look inside yourself and reflect on the patterns you want to break. Make conscious choices that align with your self-worth, because sometimes the best growth comes from the hardest goodbyes. It's the end of the beginning, just like Joe Keery said. You don't need to wait for somebody to come back in your life in order to receive love. The love starts with you. And every person or thing that decides to leave your life is just creating more space and more room for people that will actually love you to come into your life. If this person didn't see a point in trying in the relationship anymore or fighting for you, wish them well. Don't allow yourself to be weighed down by your past. Learn from it, grow from it, and open your heart up to healthy love that will commit to you and choose to stay. But first, let that love start with yourself, because the love that you have for yourself and the relationship that you have for yourself really does set the tone for every other relationship in your life. In the third and final part of this series, I'm going to talk about the pain and eventual growth that comes from letting go of a relationship, using Ariana Grande's song Eternal Sunshine. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, prove it by giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my content and stay tuned for the third part, consider subscribing and turning on the post notifications so that you can be notified when I release that third part. Leave a comment below because I want to hear your thoughts. What's something you need to let go of in order to move on? Let me know. Talk to you soon.